Hi, my name is Alicia Spurlar. If I had to capture my why, I think the easy answer is the kids and the future.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eddie Collazo. The reason I do what I do is because people often talk about second chances. And I think in the community I come from, oftentimes folks didn't have a first chance. And so I do what I do because people deserve a first chance.
My name is Pastor Eunice Sanchez. I love the people, and there's a need. I believe God has called me to this, and just to be a voice and hopefully bring some hope, some change into our community. You brought back a memory. I remember hearing, that's just in your head. You need to get over stuff and just keep it moving. It wasn't taken seriously. Mental health, what is that? Are you kidding me? We don't have time for that. Or it's a spiritual thing, just pray it away. And even though I believe in the power of prayer, absolutely. But God made us a community, so we could connect, so we could hear each other, so we could support each other, help each other through things.
I think it really ranges how mental health is defined. We have a variety that goes from I'm not crazy to it's real and it's an actual need. And the exciting part for us is that it's real contingency is growing. And I think that's part of what's come out of this pandemic, right? Acknowledging that this is something real and it's just as real and important as physical health, even though we can't always see it in the same way. It's not always as visible. But I would say that even in my work in the Latino community, you do see a shift in respecting and honoring the fact that mental health is something that we need to be paying attention to.
I think that we're beginning to expand our definition of what mental health is. Growing up, hearing, tengo los nervios malos, my nerves are bad. And it's about the stress of, being a mom, about raising a family, of being the rock. And men didn't talk about it because it was always assumed you're already the rock, right? But I think we're expanding our definition to include things that cause us stress, because when those things aren't addressed, they can result in more serious challenges.
I agree with both of you, but I've also seen coming to a point where there is anger because we didn't ask to be put in this position. I'm a second generation here. So I never really lived on the island. So going back to it, I was called certain names, if you will, even if it's joking. So it puts you in a place where you don't belong here and you don't belong there. So even as a teenager, the grumbling started, There was a time I went into to enlist, and you look at this happens all the time. You look at the list. What do you consider yourself? And they only gave me 2 categories. I literally put in there, I'm a Latina woman. And then I put Hispanic because somebody told me, don't write that because you can get people nervous.
I think it's important to understand colonization has definitely had an impact, I think, on our day to day. I was involved in a conversation recently where it was Latinos talking about the term Latinx and whether who of us embraced that term or didn't embrace it, why we didn't. And the challenge that I saw with that term is the same challenge I saw with the term Latino, Hispanic, and the 4-letter word that we've, as Latinos have heard. And it's that I want to be able to identify myself, because it seems more like you want to know what I am more than you want to know who I am. Mm-hmm. And who I am is more important than what I am. And if you look at me and you endeavor to find out who I am, you allow me to be a whole individual. And when what I am is more important, that affects who I am able to be. And that impacts our mental health. That affects our mental health.
You make great points, Eddie. And as you were speaking, one of the things that I thought of was, which I'm sure many of us have had this experience, we're between two worlds, right? And so in ways we have our families and we have our culture and we have those things that we want to please our parents for and that we want to live up to, right? That we've expected and come to expect just growing up in the way that we have. And then we have this other world, and they're often in contrast. They don't necessarily align with each other. But I think when we speak to mental health, some of the challenges that our young people and all people probably face is that I want to please both. Teetering that line can certainly impact somebody's mental health, right? Like, what am I doing? And when am I fully, and to speak to Eddie's point, when am I fully authentic?
You talk about culturally, we're very different. The other thing is linguistically, you know, and oftentimes there's this idea that if you don't speak English, that you are not intelligent. Lack of mastery of the English language is equated with a lack of intelligence. And it's not true. It's not true. And so I think we have to value our intelligence in the way it comes and not let people tell us because of your culture, you're less than, because of your language, you're less than.
Yes, there's richness in everything. Understanding your background, where you come from, and then getting excited about who you really are, you know. Let's change the perspective. Let's really celebration of who we are as a people. Compartiendo esperanza. I've seen it. I remember when I started pastoring, and I remember struggling with the fact that the role that I had accepted in that community, it was difficult. I mean, you're talking about helping all types of folks, being able to sit and help with someone with challenges, some type of addiction, or with moms or anyone. Dads would come in and say, look, I need this help. How can I? You know, it wouldn't matter. Just the fact that I was able to help, to spend time with folks. Even if I didn't see, quote unquote, a change, what other people would look at and say, that's not successful. Yeah, I saw success. I saw people communicating. I saw people, at least a desire. And sometimes hope is just helping people see a glimpse of what is at their disposal and the gifts that they have. When you start pointing out, when you start discussing, I've had women going, I don't know, and just showing them a different way in their eyes just coming alive. I mean, I've seen that in students, I've seen that in people.
That's an element that we need in order to have hope. We have to love our communities more. We have to love our families more. We have to love ourselves more. In order to have that hope, there has to be some love there. Right away, I thought of grandma. There was a saying, you know, if there was food in the house and somebody showed up and she hadn't planned for all these people to show up, she would say, no hay mucho, pero hay para todos. There isn't a lot, but there's enough for everybody.
And that's a strength. That's a beautiful thing. And so relative to mental health, because it's a newer conversation and because maybe people don't know how to broach it just yet, it still can be a strength, right? It still can say, like, you came to me with this issue and you're a part of my community or my family, and so I'm going to serve you in whichever way that I can. I think that could be a beautiful strength that crosses over into serving the mental health needs of our people. The first thing that came to my mind when I heard Compartiendo Esperanza was really like a return to roots. To me, there is evidence for hope. And there's reason for hope. And so being reminded of that and being reminded of who we are and reminding our young people of who they are and of who their parents and grandparents have been, it's about just making sure that isn't lost on them, right? Because it can be easy to feel hopeless. It can be easy to feel like things are against me and this is not going to work and here are all the reasons it won't work. But we have so much more reason to know that it will work and we can do things even when they're difficult. We can do hard things. And that's what hope is about, right? Looking forward and saying, here's what we can do. Here's where we can go.